No, we're not doing arts and crafts today. Well, we're finally getting around to installing our buddy seat in our sprayer here. Got a little template here we're supposed to use to mark where this stuff goes. So, what you're gonna do, we got to put this in here and draw around it, and then we're gonna have to cut it out. That looks pretty good. Now I got to read my instructions, see what they say. I think the next step is we got to pull this out and cut this little slot out. Using the mounting bolts and crimp rivet as locators. Done that. Secure the template to the upholstery with tape and use a pencil to trace or outline the template. Done that. Remove right side plastic plug located between the rear fender. Push the plug out between the fender and the upholstery. There ain't no plug on this thing. Place a scribe or marker through the hole in the fender to mark the position of the hole to be cut out on the upholstery. This does not make any sense. I don't even see no plug. Is this screwed on down there at the bottom?
Yeah, right there, a little bolt.
Is it a bolt?
Yeah.
Did you get the right wrench the right time for the first time?
Believe it or not.
Miracles happen every day.
Well, I knew it was either 1 or 2 sizes.
8 or a 10.
Alright.
Surprised they didn't put a 9 in there just to mess with you. They had it silicone. Sure enough, silicone.
I see it there.
What in the wide world, of course. What I'm doing here is I'll take you up there and show you. You got to drill 2 holes. There's 2 things up here, and the instructions aren't real clear about it at all. That piece of interior we got fits right in here. Goes around all this. You use that template with these 2 holes right here, and then you draw around that template like you saw us do. Well, it says something about removing some plugs. Well, they're not really plugs, they're caps. And them caps are like that right there. They go right there on that bolt, and you take them off, and then you're supposed to mark where them holes go in that plastic and drill them holes out, because this bracket is going to fit on them studs like that. You got these adapters to screw on these studs. They call them a bushing or a spacer. Your bracket is going to butt up against them. and then you're going to install these 2 bolts here. So I hope that helps you out, because the instructions are not clear at all. I'm going to try to cut this with just my knife. It does not seem very thick at all. It says to use a saw, but I'm going to try to use my own knife here. It cuts it pretty easy, but I think you kind of got to make 2 passes to do it. I figured I could control this knife a lot better than I can a saw. Alright guys, I wasn't sure that this piece came out or not, because you got this notch right here that sets down on the peg that helps hold your piece of interior in there. But when I got the fitting, here's a cover they sent with it to cover this hole up so that you can't see any space in there, and it will not fit in there properly without cutting this off. So yes, it does have to come out. So I'm going to cut that off, and then we're going to install this rubber piece. This brown piece has tabs back here that it goes in there. It catches that trim. Like that right there. So the next step, Robert, is installing the seat back onto the mounting bracket. I'm going to put the top back on this where maybe it'll kind of help hold this stuff in place where it belongs. I'm not sure what order this goes in. The instructions was not clear on that. So I'm going to try put this piece in, put the top back on it, kind of help hold it in place there. So guys, I was sitting here talking to you and didn't even have a camera on. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of get all these pieces fitted in here before I go to screwing stuff down and stuff like that. It's a cluster. I can't figure out where nothing. I do know this piece tucks down in this piece, and you bolt it down. This piece should go over like that. There's a little old stud here that this piece used to crimp down on, and I believe it's the culprit of keeping things from kind of going where they need to go. I don't know whether to punch a hole in this and push it over that stud there, and maybe put a little nut on it and help kind of hold this in place, or what. I'm just kind of thinking and studying on what I want to do here. When you're taking this trim piece out, there's just a little old nut down there in the bottom that you take off. What I'm fixing to do is, you see that little dimple there? Robert's going to poke a hole in it. Just a little hole. A little hole. Now, darn you. I wonder if we got a little old nut that'll fit that. That would be perfect. That'd help hold some of that stuff over there. Hold that piece. Now I'm going to get this piece back down and put the screws in it. We don't know if that's what that little old nut was for, but they had a little nut in the package, so we used it. It actually don't look that bad. I was kind of worried. Maybe that'll settle on in there when you get the seat in there. It's probably gonna, maybe, or I hope them holes down there line up. Alright. Let me get repositioned, and I think, well, there's a, ain't there a thing you drive down in that hole for a boat? I think I see it right there. Yep, I need a tappy tap tapper. Maybe that'll hold. I think we're ready for a seat bracket, Robert. Now we just gotta find a bolt for that. Guys, I'm gonna tell you what I'd do if it was me. Them instructions are gonna tell you to drill them holes first. But I would put this seat up here and get these two bolts caught. And then I'd give me a 1/2-inch drill bit and drill a hole right here. And when you drill a hole right there, you should be able to see them studs. And then I'd loosen these bolts right here up where you can wiggle this around and get it lined up with them studs in there. And you may have to take your drill bit and ream it out a little bit. But this bracket ain't exactly right, so you're gonna have to wiggle it around a little bit to get them bushings to line up. That's the easiest way I know to do it. I wouldn't drill them holes first like them instructions say. I'd get this thing lined up, get a 1/2-inch bit, get it to where I can see the studs, get it lined up with the studs, run my 1/2-inch bit through again, and then start your bolts. But that's just old Dylan talking. See, I'm having to push this thing way on back to get that bolt started. Guys, my problem is this bolt right here. You see that hole right there? That bolt supports this. Well, it's going down there and hitting this trim piece. So what I'm fixing to do is I'm fixing to drill me a hole where it's bumping there, where that whole bolt's got a hole to go in, and that'll let this thing move around and get in place. But it's hitting that trim and not letting that seat come around where it needs to be. Guys, can you see that indentation where it's hitting there? I'm fixing to take my hole saw and drill me a hole just slightly bigger than that indentation. Well, let's see if my old trick right here don't work. It's something I've used a lot before in the past, which that bolt's hot. I took the grinder and ground it to a point, and sometimes that'll help guide it in and make it start better. It'll start now that I drilled the hole. You see that hole that bolt sits down in now and it ain't pushing against the interior? It'll go now. With a little bit of cussing and a little bit of rigging, I just had to taper that bolt a lot.
I probably can't get the other one started.
You gotta be joking me. and girls, that was a job and a half right there. If I knew, I'm gonna say now that I know what I'm doing, I could put it in an hour. Don't you say, Robert?
Yeah.
But if you ain't know what you're doing, it can, well, we probably spent 2 hours on it total.
Yeah.
If we had some good instructions, it wouldn't have took long at all. But guys, it looks, I mean, it's a nice looking seat. That's the reason I went with John Deere over, they had some aftermarket options about half the price, but they didn't really match they was old nasty looking color brown, didn't really match the interior of the sprayer. But it folds up out of the way there. I'll have to fold it up to get out, which this is a small case. It ought to be better than it was. We'll let Robert sit in it in a minute. But let me walk y'all through this. Here's my suggestion. Alright, you start out, you take that template, and it goes right there on that hole and this hole. And then you draw that out, okay? Then it says something about marking your holes for those two bolts right there. I would not do that. What I would wait and do is I'd wait till I got this seat bracket in here, because the holes I drilled was wrong. But when you get this seat bracket in here, them holes will just about line up with where your studs are. And I just take a 1/2 inch bolt and drill it. You may have to take a pocket knife and trim on it a little bit. But that'll allow you to see them studs and get them studs lined up. When you get this trim back in here, mark where that hole is going to be and mark where that hole is going to be and drill it out where that hole has got somewhere, that bolt head has got somewhere to go and is not pushing on the interior. That was how we got so screwed up back here, was I never could get the bracket around enough to line up with the holes, because this was pushing on that interior and just screwing everything up. I mean everything. So now that I know what I'm doing, I think I could do it in less than an hour. But trying to figure it out on your own, y'all might as well just take them instructions and just sling them across the shop, because they are completely worthless. They just junk instructions. And even with that bolt hole, I still had to push this bracket back to get the holes lined up. I screwed the threads up in the end of one of them bushings. So what I had to do, I had to take that bolt, and y'all saw I tapered that end. I tapered the end of it where that bolt would get in there deeper, where it could catch a good thread. I even had to peck on it with a hammer just a little bit, and when I pecked on it with that hammer, one of them threads caught and it zipped in there. But I put these videos together for y'all where hopefully y'all will have an easier time doing stuff than we do, because I hate, I don't know about y'all, but I'm a visual learner. If I can watch somebody do it, I'm pretty sure I can do it. Alright, Robert, we want to know how it sits. Robert rode on a 5-gallon bucket last time.
It's got to be a lot better. Oh, yeah.
It still ain't built for no wide person, no, is it? I think you had more room in the old Patriot.
Yeah, I think so, too. Oh, this is a lot better, though. As long as I don't hit the steering wheel.
You'll be disengaging my auto steer all the time.
I know it. At least you got some leg room.
I don't know why he didn't go on and put the big cab on.
I don't know either.
I was worried about this rubber piece right here where you had to cut all that out so you had room for this to fit in there. I don't know why they didn't mold this body piece from the factory to fit that seat, and you wouldn't even had to cut nothing out of it.
No.
Sometimes John Deere just...
They take the long way around.
Yeah, I mean, if they had just molded that piece for... every tractor to have a buddy seat. You know, all we would have, and put some plugs right there.
Yeah,
all we would have had to done was pop the plugs out and do this and put the seat up there. They don't think sometimes. An engineer ought to have to farm for 5 years before he ever gets to design a piece of equipment.
Or they ought to work on the equipment they design.
Yeah, they ought to have to work on the equipment they design, and then they would build you a good machine.
Yeah.
I will add a side note on this crimp rivet that goes down in the side rail of your seat. I installed it wrong, and I'll show y'all how it's to be installed. I just took a hammer and pecked it down in the hole, but for it to do right, you're supposed to. Alright, so you insert your bolt through the rivet, and then you hold your bolt and take this nut and pull it tight, and what it does, it swells that crimp on the back and makes that rivet stay in there like that right there. I wish they'd put some of them over there on that side where you could mount you a monitor bracket.
I don't know why they didn't do that.
First installing the old crap handle. That's not say we need just one other dug. There you go. Don't give her 2 other dugs on plastic.
Yeah.
Be sure to check out our shop series. We have a whole playlist of videos like this. Putting stuff in, just go to our home page, click playlist, and scroll down till you see shop work. With that being said, thank you for joining us. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you like what we do.